Hello friends, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, as promised, with another card using Simon Says Stamps Dandelion Messages stamp set that I just love. This was part of the May 2021 card kit. I just did a video the other day unboxing the kit, and I made a couple of full-size slimline cards using elements from the kit. This time I'm making mini slimline cards. So I pulled out some Neenah Desert Storm cardstock scraps. These are like large scraps left over from cutting slimline card bases, etc. And I am white heat embossing this cluster of dandelion images onto it. So anti-static powder tool, had the stamp lined up on my MISTI, stamped the images with clear embossing ink, coated with detail white embossing powder, and then melted with my heat tool. And I've done a lot of videos in the past using Desert Storm cardstock and Oxide inks. I don't know what it is. I love it. There's something about the way Oxides look on Desert Storm cardstock that just makes me happy. So I'm using the new salvaged PATINA Distress Oxide ink. I used this in a previous video as well because I just got the bundle. Love this color. It will be featured a lot on my channel. So I'm using peeled paint Distress Oxide first, and I'm working on my Waffle Flower water media mat. I haven't pulled this out in a while, and it's another one of those things where it's like, oh, I love this media mat. It's so nice for ink blending. I also like the white surface because I'm really bad for sometimes just working on my black cutting mat and then smearing ink all over myself because I can't see it. And then I smear it on my project because, again, working on a black surface. So that's why I like this. Anyway, and this is easy to wash off too, especially if I get it really messy. I literally I'll hold it in the shower and hose it down if it, when it's really covered in ink. But anyway, doing my blending, I'm just using my Ranger blending tools, I think the blending foams, and working from the bottom up. So I did peel paint and then the salvage patina, which I added more of. Because I was like, it's beautiful. I could have just gone with this, really. And then I'm blending that into Wilted Violet, which is a very intense purple. So I kind of go back and forth just a couple times, but even then. The Oxides blend amazingly on Desert Storm cardstock because Desert Storm just has a smoother finish. If you want brighter results, use white cardstock. And I highly recommend using Simon Says Stamps 120 pound smooth white cardstock. Done a ton of blending videos with that as well. The colors just glide on that cardstock. I love it. So anywho, I like the subtle look though. It's still bright, but there's just something about the Desert Storm. So blended it into Wilted Violet and then picked Raspberry, which is still one of my all-time favorite colors. So again, back and forth a little bit with the blending, and then decided to kind of curve the blend a little bit so it wasn't totally straight lines. And as always, I say this, I think every time I do a blending video, my camera picks this up in a weird way and makes my blends look like crap. Makes me look like I don't know what I'm doing. But in real life, it looks a lot nicer. I don't know why my camera just I don't know. It's weird. But anywho, did my blending. And even if your blending isn't perfect, I also don't worry about it too much. I just get annoyed when I'm editing. But if your blending isn't perfect, splatter. Splatter fixes everything. It always does. It covers up any oops and it just distracts the eye. So first, before I get to the splatter though, I took my microfiber cloth and I rubbed it over the heat embossing because some of the ink sits on top and discolors it. It doesn't matter if you're using oxides, regular distress inks, other dye inks. A lot of times, especially when it's white, when it's embossed with white, the inks will sit on top of it. So you just want to wipe it off, use a tissue, microfiber cloth, whatever. And it just brightens up whatever you've heat embossed. And then, of course, I put these in my splat box, and I'm going to add my go-to splatter, which is Perfect Pearl powder mixed with water. So that'll give me my shimmery splatter. And I'm going to heavily splatter this over both of these backgrounds. And then my other bit of splatter is just some white gouache that I will also mix with a bit of water and whatever's left of that Perfect Pearl mixture on my little plastic palette here. I could have done this mixing right on the media mat because that's literally what it's for, but it's just become habit now to mix on this little plastic palette. Plus, it's another one of those things where I can just set aside and keep my elbow from getting in, because 9 times out of 10, I usually get my elbow in splatters and paint and ink, and then I wonder why my clothes are wrecked most of the time. But anywho, did all my splatter. Once I was happy with it, aka I used up pretty much everything, I let it completely dry. And then I'm just trimming these down a bit. I didn't have an original measurement because they were literally just big scraps. But I trimmed these down to about 3 inches by 6 inches because I wanted them slightly smaller than what my card base will be. So I trimmed both of these down and then set those aside to work on my sentiments, which was just the CZ Design Hugs Wafer die, which I had die cut multiple times from Simon's Heavyweight White cardstock. And then I'm going to stack these together with craft tacky glue. So I have 3 layers because I like that dimension and it just looks better in my opinion. So stacked all 3 layers together with the craft tacky glue. And then I only used the word dies for this. I didn't use the outline. Wanted to keep things a little more simple. And then I pulled out the Flickering Butterflies Wafer die set. This came out forever ago. It's still available. I'll have links, you know. But I pulled this wafer die set out and I die cut some Lawn Fawn pearlescent vellum. I've been trying harder to use things that I have purchased over the last several years and that I've been hoarding, like this pearlescent vellum, which is absolutely gorgeous. I bought this for whenever Lawn Fawn released it. I don't even know. It was forever ago. But I pulled it out and I die cut the butterflies from it. So I'll get to that in a second. I adhered the sentiments first to the background. And then the butterflies, all I'm doing is adding the tiniest little dot of craft tacky glue to the very center, like where the body would be technically, and then pressing that down. That's it. You don't need any adhesive hardly at all because it's vellum. It's very lightweight. And because these are pearlescent vellum, little butterflies, you can't see the adhesive. If they were regular, just plain vellum, you would see that little dot of adhesive, which I wouldn't worry about too much because they're small. It's not a big deal. However, if it really bothered you, I would put like a little crystal, you know, or a little Nouveau drop, anything like that. Little teensy tiny scrap of cardstock, whatever floats your boat to, you know, add a little body or to cover up that adhesive. But with these, once the glue is dry, it's so barely noticeable. I didn't worry about it. So I added those little tiny dots and I only added the adhesive to the center so the wings are all popped up. So it gives it a little extra bit of dimension. And I am going to use the remaining ones. If I didn't, I would have just stuck them back in the packaging for the next time I go to use these because, yeah, they're just, these little butterfly wafer dies are so cute. They're so perfect. So I had those adhered. My card bases are more Neenah Desert Storm cardstock. And I cut them to 6 1/4 by 6.5 inches. That is why you see that washi tape on my paper trimmer, because this trimmer only goes up to 6 inches. So the edge of the washi tape I put on there measures at 6 1/4, and then I put a line with a Sharpie that measures at 6.5 inches, because I like to make my mini slimline cards 3 1/4 by 6 1/4. So I score it at 3 1/4, then I have my 3 1/4 by 6 1/4 mini slimline cards. There's not really a standard size as far as I'm aware when it comes to mini slimline. This is the size I personally like, so that's what I go with. So I scored them at the 3 1/4 mark with my Teflon bone folder, and then I put the card bases into my MISTI, and I am using a sentiment from the XL Greetings 2 stamp set. And I'm going to white heat emboss this onto the inside of these cards. So anti-static powder tool, stamped the sentiment with clear embossing ink, coated it with the same white embossing powder, and then repeated the process for the second card base. And then once that was coated with the embossing powder, I'm going to melt both of these with my heat tool. I just decided to go with the white heat embossing because I did this in a previous video too. Since I didn't do any black cardstock, no stamping in black, anything, I didn't want to stamp the sentiment on the inside with black. I wanted to keep everything it was kind of going very light and almost pastel-y and, you know, that sort of thing. Plus, there's something about white heat embossing on Desert Storm or Craft cardstock that I just love. So the sentiments were heat embossed. And then I lined them back up inside my MISTI with that same cluster of Dandelion images. And this I'm stamping with that salvaged PATINA Distress Oxide ink, which I also just love on Craft. I stenciled with this in one of my videos this week, and I just, oh, it looks so nice on top of Craft cardstock. So inked it up, stamped that kind of more towards the bottom though of the inside of the card. And like I've said before, I will write over this sort of stuff. Like, I have no problem. But I will also, if depending on what I'm writing, I would write on the inside, like left of the card as well. It doesn't matter to me. And write on the back, whatever works. So I just got to add, you know, something to the inside of the cards. So I did that on the insides. And then I also stamped my envelopes with the image and that same salvage patina Distress Oxide ink, because it's just... it is beautiful. And I say this about every color that gets released. I raved about this one, but I also say, you know, disclaimer, I will say this about every new color that gets released, because we have 7 more to go. Yeah, 7 more to go. So whatever the next color is going to be, I don't even care. I'll be like, I love it. It's the best color ever. I love all the colors. Can't have enough. So stamped the envelopes, stamped the inside. I used those remaining butterflies on the inside of the card because I didn't want them to go to waste, and plus they're just pretty, you know, and they're lightweight, not bulky or anything, so why not just adhere them to everything. So added those, and also because they're pearlescent and pretty, that's also why I didn't add any extra bling to the outside. I know, shocker, but I had the blingy splatter and then my blingy little butterflies, and I didn't want to take away from that. So to adhere the card fronts to the card base, I used Simon's Big Mama foam tape, because it's super, super sticky and it gives it that little extra bit of dimension. So I coated the backs of those with that foam tape and then pressed those into place on these cards. And with their matching little envelopes, they're both complete. So as always, I will have a link below the video to my blog post. I will have picture links in my blog post as well. I will have a list of supplies, all that stuff. Check out the description box below if you are interested. And thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping and commenting. And stay tuned. I have just had a bajillion ideas and massive amounts of creativity, and I'm not sure what number of videos I've posted already this week, but I have more coming. So stay tuned. And thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.